Alright, what is up, team? Nala here. Wanted to talk to you about Doc's challenge mode. So Doc's was by far my favorite challenge mode that we've done so far. It was a little bit on the longer side, but it was a lot of action-packed pulling. It was very much more go go go, big pulls all the time than some of the other challenge modes that we do. And so it was an elemental shaman with some just crazy AoE. I was really happy. So I've heard of all sorts of chips and tricks for double armying the beginning and things like that, but we just decided one army was going to be plenty. So we hit ready from the get-go, popped army, and our Death Knight went and grabbed everything, and you can see the kind of the whole room here. He went from purple to moon to blue, and that was the order of things that he grabbed. And other than that, he didn't pick up any of the trash in the back, and we compensated for our -1 ad in just a minute. So for this first pull, make sure that you're ready with all sorts of crazy healing cooldowns. Go ahead and pop hero. You're going to be heroing a lot in Doc. We heroed 3 times in I think a 16-minute, I think we read about 16 minutes, in a 16-minute kill. So pop hero and then let yourself die before the first boss, because you also want hero for the first boss. So we went ahead and, in addition to pulling those 3 mobs here, we grabbed this one foot soldier, because you can pull that foot soldier all by his lonesome and he'll come and he'll whack you. So you want to get 26 mobs before you hit the first boss, and grabbing that one foot soldier gets you up to that number. So go ahead and be very careful about pulling multiple champions at once. Even in that first big pull, we only had 1 champion, and we made sure to focus him down, in addition to cleaving down with Ascendance, Orb, and everything like that. If you saw, we hit about a group DPS of 260k, which was pretty good for us, considering only, even with hero, considering we're only 630, yeah, eye level gear. So that first pull is going to be the hardest part of this instance. If you can do that first pull, you can do the entire rest of the dungeon. So congratulations, you're done. You just have to not die. So if you'll notice, throughout this pull and the next, we've actually been committing suicide slowly. Our healer stopped healing us so that we could, just the DPS, he kept himself in the tank alive, obviously. He stopped healing us so that we were able to clear our sated debuff. And this was so that we would have hero again for the first boss. So once we told him that our sated debuff was cleared, he would start healing us again. So right now, I have cleared it and our hunter has cleared it. We just needed our mage to kill herself and pull some trash so that she could do so. So we went ahead, and once we had sated cleared, we were all ready for the first boss. Again, once you've finished this part of the instance, you don't have too much to worry about. Now, with our comp, this first boss was very straightforward, because we could Tremor Totem the Reckless Provocation, which I'll show you how we did that in a minute here, and basically just ignore those mechanics. So unless you don't have a Shaman, which almost every kill that I've seen from my realm has involved 1 or even 2 Shamans, I would strongly recommend finding a Shaman, because ignoring Reckless Provocation is just more uptime on the boss, especially if you're melee and you're getting constant spam fear. So this boss, again, comes in 2 parts, and because it comes in 2 parts, you want to be able to hero for it. So we say we heroed at the very beginning, and we're going to hero again now. And the point in heroing when we do is so that we can kill Dreadfang, because Dreadfang does so much damage single target after he's dismounted. He just kind of focuses one player and goes ahead and nukes them to just all hell. And you really want to make sure that you keep all your DPS alive, because this first fight is a DPS check. So I did go ahead and dot the boss there, but just for more procs. So again, Dreadfang is still the priority. So once you get Dreadfang down, and right now he's just ruining our hunter, who's running away frantically, and quite understandably. Once you get Dreadfang down, you're going to have the boss most likely with a Reckless Provocation. So I dropped Tremor Totem, and we went ahead and ignored Reckless Provocation. And the way that mechanic works is whenever you hit the boss, he will fear you, as long as he has that buff up. It's just a standard run-of-the-mill fear that isn't affected by diminishing returns. So if you have fear immunity like Lichborn, or I believe Will of the Forsaken will work. So even if you don't have a Shaman, you can still go ahead and pop those personals and get out of the fears. Berserker Rage will work as well for warriors. But unless you're an undead or a warrior or a death knight, good luck, because priests will only be able to avoid one with Fear Ward, and it's going to be a rough time dealing with that. So what we did is we used the AoE Fear Removal Tremor Totem to absolutely counter that mechanic so that we didn't have to worry about it at all, and that made our lives a lot easier. So after you've killed Flesh Render, Nokgar, you want to go ahead and mount up, get behind your tank so that you don't get one-shotted, and pull these two Ogron. The Ogron in this instance have a lot of health, and so you don't want to DPS them because you'll lose a lot of time. So what we do is we have our tank go ahead and pull them and run them to the first Iron Star. If you'll notice, I dropped my Earthbind Totem right in front of it so that the Ogron would actually line up nicely for it. After that, you want to get the second Iron Star and aim it so that it hits as many of the little orcs patrolling around in the beginning as possible, and the two Ogron in the back of them. If you manage to hit all of that with the second Iron Star, I actually missed these two orcs, but that's not too big a deal because we were able to mount up and run by. You're able to pull this next trash that would also take you an exorbitantly long amount of time, and use the third Iron Star that's still sitting back there to kill it. So we ran our whole group up there just in case things went wrong and we needed to do some CCing or healing for our tank. But basically, we just had our tank run in, grab all of those mobs, and start running them back this way. So at that point, I just dropped some healing totems and some slow totems around the corners so that once mobs get around the corner, they're not catching up with us, but until they get to that corner, they're going full speed. So once all the mobs get around the corner, you're going to go ahead and have whoever you left behind, in our case it was our hunter, release the Iron Star. Now, for some reason, the Iron Star glitches out and you can't actually see it until you would have already been dead. So that's great for us because the mobs don't see it, and apparently we're immune to that damage. So double win there. This Chainmaster, we pulled, I think, 7 times in this instance to get the timing and just all the mechanics down right. And every single time this Chainmaster lived. So you'll have to kill the one Chainmaster if you want to kite him, if you want to DPS him slowly while you're kiting him. Great. However, I believe there are 2 Chainmasters in that pack, and only that one Chainmaster survived every time. So not quite sure why, but it happened. So just be ready for 1 extra mob after you release that Iron Star. So at this point, you will die if you stand in these fire missiles fired from the Ogron or just regular Gron on the ship. So you can have your tank stand in them with the ads, and this was really good for us because we have all range DPS, and that's just the comp we've been running with for all of these to prove that master class ranged. So given that, we went ahead and had our tank stand in the AoE, our druid would pop some healing cooldowns at every pull, and we would actually gain a lot of DPS by standing the ads in the fire because, just like us, they take damage from it. It is just artillery fire, and so it's only logical that they hurt. So after you clean up this Ogron, and you can see just how long it's taking us to kill this one Ogron, given that we've all been sort of chaining off of him this entire time, and it's very, very clear that they have a lot of health. So without that extra barrage, it would take us a very long time to get it done. So after we do that, you need to go ahead and kill this pack too. I know they are a skippable pack in the sense that you can get around them without aggroing them, and so if you're feeling super bold, you can pull more mobs at the beginning and just ignore them, and the Gron will usually stop firing. If not, you'll already be past, and so it's not a big deal. So once you kill these guys, you're on to the third boss. Now, the third boss proved a little bit difficult for us because our group wasn't always paying attention to when Sanguinary Spear is the name of the ability that the female orc on the far left will cast on the lowest health party member. So the 3 of them are consider them a party. She will cast it on the lowest health one. So you have these 3 mobs, very easy to chain, very easy to AoE, but far left orc, casts Blood Bolts, spams it, will cast Sanguinary Spear on the lowest health individual. And that will, if broken, if DPS'd to fruition, if you break the spear before it fades naturally, will basically heal the mobs to full. So don't do that. Now, Lava, there are 2 abilities that Martog Emberblade casts. The first is Searing Cleave. Searing Cleave. Searing Cleave is just a very, very big AoE damage ability. He jumps forward into the spin. It only hit our tank because he was the only melee. Not a big deal. The second ability is Lava Sweep. Now, Lava Sweep is magic damage, and so if you recall from before, we've been using some Mirrored Blades mechanics on other dungeons, and we learned that we could actually reflect the damage from Lava Sweep back onto Mortok Emberblade. And so we had our hunter deter and walk through both Lava Sweeps, and it reflects a massive DOT onto him because she's taking ticking damage that's constantly getting reflected back, and he'll basically kill himself. If you notice, Martok died at about the same time as Arok. I'm only going to pronounce her. Duruguru? And the two of them died at the same time, even though we were only focusing down Arok. And so if you have any sort of reflect grounding totem, worked sometimes for us. It was a little bit shady. We went ahead and didn't do that simply because I died on occasion, and we didn't like me. Well, I didn't really like me dying. So we went ahead and just had our hunter deter that. So that makes that fight a lot quicker, and then you have to get ready for running quickly. So I just went ahead and checked that my Recarn was up, because part of our strategy was that if everything went wrong, I could Ankh and resurrect people. So basically, you got your mob count. You got your 44 mobs because you did all that crazy stuff at the beginning. And all of this stuff has a lot of health. And let's be honest, you don't want to use an invisibility potion because you want to do more damage. So we went ahead and just ran through. And the goal was die as far that way as possible. So as long as you get over the line here, let's think of it as the finish line. Mount up, run past the finish line. Stay behind your tank, let him take damage. As long as the person who you want to do the rezzing gets past that line, in this case it was me, you want them to run past, either take a battle res that you've given them. If my Ankh was on cooldown when we were doing this, because it's an internal cooldown that isn't reset by challenge modes, we went ahead and had our druid throw a battle res on me right before he died, so that I would be able to res everyone. At that point, drop a feast or eat your 125 food. We'd already wasted so much 125 food and dropped in a feast, because this is the second time that we're dying in here, so 3 batches of 125 stat food was a lot to stomach from an economic standpoint. So at that point, you want to go ahead and pull Oshir. Now, Oshir is a fight that you normally don't pop any cooldowns on, and for us, that wasn't true. We went ahead and just popped our cooldowns on Oshir because we had our hunter hold Stampede, but we popped the rest of our cooldowns on Oshir because it's a long enough fight that our 2-minute cooldowns on my end and our 2-minute cooldown, 1.5 minute cooldowns for our mage would actually be off cooldown again for the boss, where we're going ahead and pretty much running regular strat. But I'll talk to you about the next boss after this. So this boss will always break out Wolf Cage and then a Rylak Cage in challenge modes. Now, I say always, that's what we saw. We never saw him break out anything else, but who knows, maybe he does. So this boss is very simple from a mechanic standpoint. You just have a couple things. Depending on what cage he breaks out, you have to deal with either kill the ads or CC the ads or interrupt them. Kill the ads, the wolves will just kind of run around and do unpredictable damage, which is bad. You don't want that to happen. And so we went ahead and just AoE'd down the wolves as soon as they spawned, even if we had cooldowns ticking. With the Rylak, though, what we did is we would just interrupt it, because it really doesn't do any damage unless it's casting Acid Spit, which constricts the room and will do a lot of AoE damage if you're standing in it. So we just chain interrupted it. We had 4 people with interrupts, 3 of us are ranged. So as long as we interrupted Acid Spit, life was good, and it had a good bit of health. So we just kind of naturally cleaved onto the Sky Terror with dots and pet damage, and we were able to just get our interrupts off and not have to worry about the Acid Spit. The other mechanic that Oshir does is Time to Feed, which is just swap focus, basically like a fixate. He'll just jump on the target and do damage, and your healer just has to be paying attention. If you have an OP Resto Druid, they can throw on Rejuve and Germination and just kind of dance in a circle, because that's how Resto Druids. And now to the only real hard part of this instance, other than Full Numero Uno. Skulllock. So, our goal was to kill Skulllock as quickly as possible, because Grand Smash is very, very deadly. And we did this by heroing. I hit hero and we hit Time Warp at the same time. One thing to note, though, while you are primarily nuking Skulllock, you have to watch out for Focus Fire, because the Hunter and I were standing on top of each other, and we both pretty much went to 50% right at the beginning of the fight, because we were stacked during focus fire. So make sure that your DPS are spread out so that no one's taking cleave damage from that, and your healer's life will be a lot easier, because this is a very high damage fight. So we naturally cleaved onto Koromar and spent all of our time instead nuking Skullok, because we only wanted to get one phase of Grand Smash, because Grand Smash is very, very scary. Now, we had our hunter run off, deter at the very back of the room, disengage and run all the way forward with post haste, and she could get there in one phase of one deterrence. She would then pull the boss to stop the second cannon barrage, and then deter again so that she wouldn't take any more damage. At that point, Skullok is at about 35%, and you just have to focus, nuke him. Once Skullok is dead, this fight doesn't really matter, and we all kind of started celebrating a little bit early because we killed Skullok. Now, we managed to down him with about 7 seconds until the next Grand Smash, and so we were cutting it a little bit close. So as long as your DPS is about 30k per person, 25 to 30k, you'll be able to kill it in one phase, no problem, as long as you break it and are steady even outside of cooldowns. So after you kill Skullok, Koromar is a little wimp and just kind of bounces around, and Zogosh does so little damage that he might as well just be like a plushy Elec or something. So that was Challenge Mode Docs. I know it was quick, there was a lot to cover in that short span of time, but it was relatively straightforward. The only two pulls you have to worry about are the very first one and the very last one, because they're the only things that hurt, really. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. I'll sign it off.